Welcome back to the Junkyard Dawgcast, and rarely can you say a 23-point win was not near as close as it seemed, but that was the case today for Georgia as it takes down Florida 43-20 to improve to 8-0 on the season. Another win in Jacksonville for Kirby Smart, and this was a big game for Carson Beck, a Jacksonville native who grew up, following the Gators and gets to have an incredible game in Jacksonville in his first season as a starter. Really kind of a ho-hum 315-yard passing game, but just looked outstanding out there, as poised as he can be in his hometown with his friends and family watching, throwing for 315 and 2 touchdowns on Florida in a game where everyone was wondering, how is Georgia going to handle not having its best player on the football field? And while he was one of the on the sidelines as Kirby dressed him out as one of the 70 Georgia dressed out, Georgia's offense had no issues whatsoever without him on the field, as Carson Beck and Mike Bobo just dialed up a perfect game plan and carved up Florida's defense for an outstanding performance overall. They put up 486 yards, but they had over 7 yards of play and honestly left points on the board. A couple red zone possessions that led to field goals. They could have had, easily 50 in this game. That's kind of one of the only, criticisms you can really have, because Georgia's offense, they scored the first 4 times it touched the ball. And while, again, you thought this was going to be a shootout early on, 7-0, and then Georgia rolls down the field and puts points on the board as well. Before you knew it, it was a 26-7 lead for the Dogs, and for the first time since 1982, Georgia's offense scored over 40 points against Florida. I know 2017 they put up over 40, but that included a fumble recovery for a touchdown. And the answer was, who was going to step up without Brock Bowers? And the answer was Lad McConkey today, as Lad took advantage of the bye week to get that back healthy. Looked like a future NFL wide receiver out there with his 6 catches for 135 yards and a touchdown. A huge 54-yard catch from him and a 55-yard catch from Dominic Lovett as well. The offense just looked outstanding out there, and Lad looked like, the player that everyone thought he could be coming into this season. You got to give him credit. He has been an incredible playmaker for Georgia and stepped up when they needed it most in this game against against Florida. And honestly, I think it's been a really, really strong career for him. You got to really give him credit for not just today, but what he's done in Jacksonville the last 2 games. He had 4 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown, along with a 7-yard touchdown run against Florida last season. So he has been officially anointed as a Gator killer. And I just think that's outstanding. You just think about how his career has gone to date. Georgia's defense really got pressure when they needed it to. Florida had the ball 7 times in a row without scoring. Georgia allowed that touchdown on the opening drive. You thought, okay, this could be a shootout. They had a great script to start, but you got to credit Glenn Schumann and that coaching staff. They made adjustments, and they did not. They kept Florida off the scoreboard until early in the fourth quarter. Georgia got pressure when it needed it. They had 4 sacks in this game. They forced, for the first time this season, a fumble recovery, and Marvin Jones recovered that one for Georgia. A big play there as well. So again, the score is not indicative of just how well Georgia played. Florida added a couple fourth quarter touchdowns that I know Kirby Smart is livid about, but the game was already out of reach. Special teams, again, coming up clutch. I know that fans were punching air as Georgia had to settle for field goals a couple times in the red zone. But again, Peyton Woodring made both his field goals, and Georgia had his first block punt of the season by Joel Aguero, resulting in a safety. They got points off that, and got to give credit to Brett Thorson, all three of his punts inside the 20. And again, without a return, Georgia has not allowed any punt returns this season. So incredible job there. I think, again, this was a big stage for Georgia and its coaching staff. You have to give Mike Bobo credit. I know there are a couple, early downs runs in the red zone where it seemed like he was going a little bit too to script, but it also set up the first down play action throw later in the game. And also, the outside run for a touchdown as well was just classic Bobo playing to his strengths. And even late in the game, he kind of threw in a wrinkle, a deep cut for himself, and finally threw in that toss sweep against Florida that I know had Todd Gurley out there celebrating as he took to Twitter to talk about Lab McConkey returning to form for Georgia and celebrating Georgia's success. But again, the coaching staff did well. Florida was coming in having played some of its best football of the season, and Georgia reminded them that they're nowhere near close to being where they need to be in this rivalry game. So huge game overall. This is a signature game for Carson Beck. And I think it kind of showed that he is not a one-trick pony. He's able to come out and perform at a really high level without a top 10 draft pick out there on offense and Brock Bowers. I think that you have to really be encouraged if you're a Georgia fan seeing that, because you're probably going to have a couple more games without Brock Bowers being able to take the field. But again, there's still some things to work on here. Overall, you did allow 21 points, and there were some run fits that you'd like to have back. There was a couple, credit to Florida, good play calls that you saw. Georgia with the blitz, they played to the blitz a couple of times. They got right there the goal line for that one touchdown. Kind of had the entire defense looking one way, and then you hit them with that fake reverse throw for the touchdown. But there wasn't a lot of bad in this game. I think you have to really be excited for if you're a Georgia fan right now, because after that first drive, Georgia locked in, and it was a great game all around in its top rivalry game. And you really never are afraid under Kirby Smart that he's not going to get his team up for a big game. But at the same time, you still have to give credit for Kirby Smart and his coaching staff having Georgia prepared for this big game. These are the kind of games you need to win in order to keep having that ultimate goal in front of you, and they did. So now Georgia can move on and prepare for its next big game. Another promising offense, high-powered offense in Missouri. At home at 3:30 again on CBS, and we will be talking about that all next week. But for this edition of the Junkyard Dawgcast, I'm Kip Adams. You guys enjoy your weekend.